So we're here at our first ever presence at the Shanghai Motor Show, the 21st Shanghai Motor Show. I thought it would be a good thing just to sit down and have a chat with Jonathan. Just both of us giving a little bit of perspective as to what we've seen, and some of the takes that you may have, and just a chat around really what we found. So I guess for me, I've just been flabbergasted. Having been to China quite a lot over the last 2 years, I'm still seeing new vehicles. There's still new brands coming, the speed in which they're developing. I think the brand Rocks that we've seen today, SUV that wasn't here a year ago, and yet they've produced something that looks very much like a Land Rover Defender at that speed. So, 8 halls with 70 different brands has been quite incredible. Yeah. So, how about you? What are your takeaways?
Well, I think just the sheer size and scale, and its sensory overload with how these new brands are marketing themselves and positioning themselves, covering every conceivable segment with what are fabulous vehicles. We've been able to have a decent look around, and the quality, the manufacturing quality, the design, the thought that's gone into the packaging is incredible. And you're just left with the thought that they're going to be sales winners. And that's really going to give the incumbents a run for their money in all markets. I think some of the themes that have stood out for me, the seating. I do like a comfortable car, but the sophistication of seating, massage seating.
So we've seen massage seating on sub £25,000
That's right. Yeah,
cars.
That's it, Ben. And 18-way adjustability. Yeah. There's a real focus on the comfort of the consumer. Obviously, huge focus on connectivity. Screens just about everywhere. Second thing I pick up is lighting. Lighting is seemingly everywhere on all vehicles. Front lighting, rear lighting. You name it, everything seems to be illuminated, and I think that's much more of an aesthetic, a design cue, than it is necessarily a practical lighting strategy.
I guess one of the points there that I've been thinking is, will styling trump sustainability?
Yeah.
We're seeing a huge amount of complexity in what's going on around the plastics, around the styling, around the lighting of the vehicles, which is going to make them more challenging to repair. And it'll be interesting to see how society, particularly the younger generation, prioritises styling over what we believe they prioritise in sustainability. Yeah.
Well, I think that's interesting, Ben, isn't it? Because we look at everything through our vehicle risk rating lens, and thinking about performance and safety and security, damageability, repairability. When you go around a show like this, repair challenge really does stick out as a topic to be thinking about. And it's hard to see how some of these things are going to be repairable. It's going to be straight replacement, and of course that asks challenges of the vehicle makers and their spare parts availability, supply chain, and that type of thing, which is why I think it's been one of the great successes I think of being here is being able to meet face to face with the engineering teams and talk to them about those challenges, helping them to understand what impact it's going to have on their sales volumes. And really getting them sort of leaning in on the topic, which I think is great. I think my experience of engineers, and certainly Chinese engineers, is they'll find a solution, and they'll find a solution to these problems, which I think usefully we'll be able to reflect in the data that we provide to the insurance industry.
I think what's a big highlight for me is with vehicle risk rating, the conversations we've had around vehicle risk rating is just a brilliant way of identifying those problems. So we've been able to have brilliant conversations with vehicle manufacturers and engineers that simply don't understand that there would be a problem. But by highlighting that with vehicle risk rating, it opens up the door, it opens up the conversation.
Yeah.
And they see challenges differently. There's still a lot of work to do, and a lot of the vehicles we're seeing now are obviously baked in. They've been here for 2 or 3 years, but the conversations have been very positive.
Yeah. Well, we saw that, didn't we, in the depth of the questions that we had in the technical session that we held with Myra China. I think we had 20 21 vehicle makers.
20 vehicle manufacturers, 46 engineers from across 20 different vehicle manufacturers. So very good attendance.
And they clearly understood the model and the challenge. And I know even you were stumped, Ben, a couple of times with the questions that they asked, but it showed that depth of understanding and interest in the topic.
Yeah, and it's being able as a company though to address that depth, I think, has been brilliant to show. Being able to send those questions back to the UK and get our experts back there to be able to pull that depth out. It's very difficult for one or two people to stand in China and have that breadth of knowledge, but as an organisation we know we can go back and rely on the depth of knowledge we've got, which is, it does make those presentations easier, because you don't have to have all the answers, because we do have that structure to take it back as well. So it's been fascinating. I think another couple of the takeaways I've got, just interesting to get your thoughts. The competition here is ferocious. There are the number of brands, the number of models within each brand. How sustainable do you think that is in China, and do you think that model will transfer across to the UK, or do we think we'll see big changes in the market?
Yeah, well, I think the important thing to understand is just the sheer size and scale of the Chinese domestic market. Right, so 1.4 billion people. So range and choice, regionality, geography. You can kind of see how a market of that size can sustain the number of manufacturers there are. But I think there'll be consolidation, as there is in any maturing market. We had dinner last night with one of the leading brands, and they're in the UK. And we got a sense of how focused they are on sales and volumes and supporting their dealer networks.
My takeaways there was that they are already looking at UK specific models. So they're having conversations about what they can do from a UK specific, which is really interesting for me, because with that global view, is there going to be a UK specific or a European specific? And I know we've seen Audi and Volkswagen launching here at the show the China for China from Volkswagen, and the global Chinese brand Audi from Audi. But it'll be interesting to see what the Chinese brands, if they do consolidate and start to produce more global.
Well, I think that they'll start to look at the characteristics and the dynamics probably of the European markets, and then understand what they want to do from a packaging and a marketing level. But I think the good thing from a UK domestic perspective is that a number of brands that we see are very serious about the UK market opportunity. So we're going to be seeing growing volumes, I think, in the UK market. And again, it's important that we provide the UK insurers with the insights around those vehicles.
I guess one final point for me, I've actually just really enjoyed being at a motor show. I think motor shows in Europe, unfortunately, are a dying breed. Marketing teams simply don't have the budgets to be able to spend. And there was one concept, I can't remember which stand it's on now, but there's one concept that really does take me back to the old Jensen jet setters, a proper futuristic retro-looking bubble. So it's just been great to see, and the geek in me, that engineer, was really enjoyed being here. So
and the marketeer in me has appreciated, how they presented the products on the stands and brought them to life. And again, as I said, the size and the scale of the thing really is impressive. It does blow you away.
Brilliant. Well, thanks, Jonathan.
Cheers, man.
And we'll see you all back in the UK.